when Mr. Robinson's term was completed, by that time the PNM had returned the power. And Mr. Manning appointed Professor Max Richards principal again, in spite of the fact that Professor Max Richards' father was the second chairman of the PNM. As far as I can recall, Professor Max Richards had no political connections.
We saw the partisan politics again rearing its head at the level of the office of president. We must not forget that in all the deadlock that we had experienced in having the parliament functioning, we were unable to elect a speaker, that Mr. George Richards was the one who was nominated by Mr. Patrick Manning to become the speaker then. And that attempt failed completely. When things settled down and Mr. Manning was able to get his government going for that particular period, with the blessings of Mr. Robinson, Mr. George Richards now was nominated by the government under Mr. Manning to become the successor of Mr. A.N.R. Robinson.
He carried his portfolio knowing full well what had transpired in the years before and where we were and where we needed to go. For all intents and purposes, we could say that President Richards was not one like President Robinson to rock the boat, but rather more or less to try to steady things along, keep it going, keep it with the flow, and ensure that the nation state was moving along on an even keel.
My father, George Maxwell Richards, was the 4th president of Trinidad and Tobago. He was born on the 1st of December, 1931. My father was the first of 5 children. His father, George Maxwell Richards, was actually a citizen of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And he was actually the first Attorney General of an independent Trinidad and Tobago. He married my grandmother, Henrietta Martin, and as I said, they had 5 children, my father being the first. While in his childhood days, he went to school in San Fernando, but he came up to Port of Spain and attended Queen's Royal College. Following his stint at Queen's Royal College, he went down into the oil fields where he worked with UBOT. From there, he got a scholarship and he would have gone to university, both Manchester and Cambridge. He was one of the first persons who actually did chemical engineering. So after he left the oil fields, he went into the University of the West Indies, where he was a senior lecturer in the chemical engineering department. There are 2 of us, my brother and myself, and as everyone knows, he married Jean Ramjohn Richards, who is a medical doctor. My father had very few joys in life apart from his family. He was very family oriented. He would spend all his free time with us. He was, prior to him being president, he would be someone he would be at home. He would take us out for dinner. He would always be helping my mother in the kitchen. He would have started the University Fete, which would have been the first all-inclusive premium carnival fete that was hosted in Trinidad and Tobago. And this was his way of getting additional income to make sure the students that could not go to school were getting the much needed assistance. When he retired from the University of the West Indies, he started his own carnival fete, which was Max Richards and Friends. In 2003, he became the president-elect. So The FET then the name had to be changed. I took his place on the board of the committee, and we went as friends to the max. He was always into giving back to the country. My father believed in Trinidad and Tobago. He was very patriotic. I think if he was alive right now, he would be a little disappointed at what we have become as a nation. We need to go back to taking our national anthem seriously. You see that part of every creed and race find an equal place? He spoke about that towards the end of his life.